Okay. Okay, fine. Yeah. So yesterday I told you SAP MM is nothing but completely which indicates the P2P cycle, which is called as a procurement to payment cycle, where these are the five parameters are going to be involved. So we can call it as a five different transactions in P2P. So here these are the two different and basic procurements which are going to be happen in real time environment, irrespective of the type of industry. Okay. And so these are the different types of business processes we have. So around 10 to 12 business processes we have in SAP MM. So we have to know each and every business process. Why? Because in real time, each and every client will not use all the processes. So it depends on the client, it depends on their products, and depends on their type of industry. If it is their manufacturing industry, they'll go with one kind of a process. If it is a pharmaceutical industry, they'll go with one kind of a process. So finally, as a MM consultant, you should know every business process from scratch to end, so that if any request comes from the business like this, so this is what we are currently using these businesses in non-SAP. We have to migrate from non-SAP to SAP. So how can we map? So that is what as a consultant role. You need to map the existing business process to SAP business process, so that you should first know what are the business processes we have, each and every business process and how it will work, what are the configurations are required, you have to know. So these many you can say here 1 2 3, and that again you are going to have these many. So around 10 to 12 business processes will have. So each and every business process you must and should know. So see here. So I'll explain you here. First of all, a P2P cycle. Yesterday already I just given just a basic glimpse of the P2P cycle. Now I'll go with each and everything in detail. As of now, see here in the P2P cycle, the first important transaction is a purchase requisition. So if in whatever the whatever the business, whatever the client they are running their business, they are using the SAP. If they want to procure something, so the purchasing department will involve. So here from purchase requisition to quotation and then to purchase order, these first three parameters will be taken care by purchasing team from the business end, for which as a SAP MM consultant, you have to give them support and you have to give services to them if they are going to face any sort of issue while doing the procurement. Suppose if they are trying one of the user is trying to create a purchase requisition. So if they are facing any issue, if they are unable to create the requisition, so then immediately as a consultant, you have to look into the issue and you have to check from scratch to end, not exactly what the error, whatever the error the user is getting, you have to go into the configuration and you need to check, is there any thing is miscellaneous in terms of a configuration. So each and every parameter is very important. Why? Because as a business user, he don't know. He knows only how to create a requisition. There are users, they are only will create a requisitions. The few users will create only purchase orders. Their responsibility is to create order or to create a requisition, to create a good receipt or to create invoice receipt. That's it. They do not have the entire knowledge on MM. So that you are a consultant, you have to know each and every parameter of the transaction. Suppose if you're talking about a purchase requisition, you should know what is the configuration, what are the parameters we have, how we are going to configure, and what are, suppose if you open a screen, what are the fields are important, what not. Likewise, you have to configure. So as a MM consultant, you are going to learn all these parameters, including configuration, testing, and everything. So in the P2P cycle, the first thing is a purchase requisition. The name itself, it indicates we are, the business is requesting to purchase materials or services, either materials or services. They are going to create sort of a requisition, so that I need this material of 100 quantity for my production purpose. I need 100 quantity of materials for some sort of a consumption purpose. There are two ways. One is procuring for stock purpose and procuring for consumption purpose. So there are two different types of procurements. Like we'll create a purchase requisition, and then so whatever the material we are going to procure, so for which we need to identify list of the sources, list of vendors. So this material is going to deliver by how many vendors are there. So for which we need to identify the vendors, and then we have to send the quotation for them, request for quotation. We are going to set the quotation. I need 100 materials. I need this material of 100 quantity I need. So I have XYZ vendors. So I'm immediately, as a business person, is going to send the quotations to the three vendors of X and Y and Z. So after that, once quotation is done, I mean request for quotation is done, we are going to compare the quotation. So that in SAP, the quotation comparison in terms of a price itself, it's a price comparison. Whenever you are going to execute a particular transaction, what will happen? So it will compare itself automatically, and it will give the rank one, means the best vendor automatically it will choose, the system will choose. And the suppose out of XYZ, Y is the best vendor for that particular material, so that X and Z will get rejected automatically. Means we need to run sort of a transaction so that they will receive the rejection letters, and one particular vendor will అన్న చెప్పండి అన్న, 1 minute. అన్న మీది ఆడియో కనెక్ట్ అవ్వలేదు. You just leave and again you just join. Yeah. So we are going to accept one quotation, and then remaining quotations will get rejected. So in this quotation concept, you are going to have two different transactions. One is a request for quotation, and then comparison of quotations. These are the two important transactions will be performed. So once one quotation is accepted for the vendor, so immediately it will get converted into order. So initially requisition converted into quotation, that will be converted into the purchase order. So purchase order itself, it is here the major difference between a requisition and the quotation, like so requisition is an internal document, internal, and it is a not at all a legal document. Why? Because we are not sending any these details to the vendor. We are just, they are creating the requisition. So they are going in the who are working at a store, who are working at a manufacturing location, or who are working at a business side, they are going to monitor the stock day to day. Every day, each and every minute, they will have one look on stock monitoring, so that if the stock is getting reduced for a particular defined limit, so that they'll go for the procurement. So that requisition will be a internal document. We will never send this document to the vendor. So once you are going to talk about a quotation, so it will be purely external document, and it is a legal document we are sending to the vendor. So this is what my material we are requesting, what would be the price. So that that is what the quotation, from quotation to till, from second transaction to fifth one. So these all are external documents. So we can call it as these are legal documents. Okay, once quotation is done, we are going with the purchase order. So finally, we are going to create order. Like however you are going to place an order in a Flipkart or Amazon. Likewise, here the materials are getting procured by creating the purchase order. So after that, once a purchase order has been created, the vendor will receive the order through some mechanism. So that I'll explain you in the configuration and all. You'll get understand how we are sending and all, what kind of ways we have. There are different ways we have. So I'll show you in the configuration perspective. So once the vendor has been received your purchase order, immediately he will process that purchase order, and he will immediately send us the materials which we are exactly ordering. So then once a vendor delivered the product or materials to the plant location, so that the people who are at a plant location, who are working as a business end user, they will immediately, once they receive their goods, they will enter the goods receipt. After that, they are going to create the invoice receipt. So these are the materials we have received. This is the cost, and these are the taxes, and these are the delivery charges. Likewise, there are so many charges will be there. There are so many different prices will be there. Like there is a gross price, there is a discount, there is a delivery charges. Delivery charges may be based on the quantity, based on the, or else delivery charge 10%. or else delivery charge is like a direct amount 200 rupees. Likewise, there are a lot of conditions will have so everything will be get presented on the invoice receipt. So once invoice receipt is received, and the people they are going to do the payment. So that is what the cycle we are going to call it as a procurement to payment. We are procuring some materials or services for which we are doing the payment. So that is the reason why we are going to call it as a P2P cycle. So in entire MM, you are going to deal with these transactions only. These five transactions. But to do these transactions, we need to have a lot of data. What kind of data is required? There are three different types of data is available. I'll explain you. So see here, these are the basic procurements. So if you're talking about a manufacturing procurement, so you are going to have a purchase requisition, purchase order, goods receipt, invoice receipt, and then payment to the vendor. So this is what the basic P2P cycle will involve. So after this, whenever you want, I mean, we have a customer that he ordered 1000 batteries, but at our, I mean, we are the manufacturing batteries. So we have a customer order of 1000, but we do have only 900 batteries are available. There are no 100, I mean 100 batteries are less. So that we have accepted the customer order and we are going to process. So for which we need to, what we need to do, we have monitored the stock, there are 900 are available. So 100 we need to manufacture. So for which what are the requirement? Immediately the purchasing team will look into the stock to produce a single battery, how many materials are required, what kind of materials are required, everything they will analyze, and they will propose a procurement proposal they'll go with. So immediately the purchasing team immediately will procure the materials which are needed to manufacture a single battery. So they will do, entire purchasing team will take in care of procuring the materials. So finally we completed that P2P cycle, means we have ordered a few materials and we received, we do the payment and all, it's done. So this will be taken care by SAP MM team. If the business people who are working as a purchasing department, so if they are receiving any error or if they are facing any issue while doing the procurement, we are the responsible person into look into the issue and we have to give the resolution. So after that, we have to issue those materials into production department. Okay, so immediately the production department from the business end, they will start the production of the batteries of 100 batteries. So once the production is done, immediately sales team will come into the picture. Why? Because they are originally the sellers. Why? Because the purchasing team will purchase the materials, production department will produce the material. I mean, it will produce the product, and finally sales team will sell that product to the customer across the globe. So finally, here sales team will involve. See here, sales team will involve, and then they are going to deliver 1000 batteries to the customer. So here in a manufacturing industry, here purchasing team is getting involved, production team is getting involved, sales team is involving, and in addition to that, finance team is always will get involved. Why? Because it's entire finance, in the sense it is dealing with the pure money. So here we do have a lot of ZL account entries will be maintained in the SAP system, so that when some sort of a transaction the business is performing, it should, the value of that material, the value of the product, that must and should post to some account. So for which FI is a mandatory, so we need no need to discuss the FI. So manufacturing business will be like this. Okay, coming to trading business. Okay, in the trading business, what will happen? So there is no manufacturing. So suppose I have a store where I am going to sell all kind of laptops, but I am not the original manufacturer for the laptop. I am just it's a trading business, like it's like a third party. So let us take a simple example: Flipkart. You are the customer and seller will be the different. There are a seller is different and a customer is different. But Flipkart is a medium to take the orders from the customers, and immediately it will process the order, and it will, that order will get forwarded to the seller. Immediately seller will accept that order, and immediately he will send that product so through some sort of a medium. So finally this is what the third party, we can call it as a third party transfer, or we can call it as a purely trading business, means there is no production department will involve. Only in manufacturing area only production team will get involved. Whereas in a trading business, a sales team and as well as the purchasing team and as well as the finance team is obviously will get involved. Why? Because we are dealing with the money. So here from the trading business, we are going to have the sales order from the customer. I need 100 laptops. So one customer will request that for their organization, they need 100 laptops with a sort of a configuration. So immediately that is what the sales order. When we receive the order from the customer, so we are going to call it as a customer sales order. Then that sales order will be converted into requisition. That will be converted into order, and that will get delivered. Means there is a process in a sales. We are going to call it as a outbound delivery. So I'll explain you in the transaction so that you'll get to understand clearly. You just remember when you are talking about a sales order, you are going to see the delivery. Okay, then we are going to receive the goods with respect to that delivery and doing the invoice. So and doing the payment, and finally we are directly delivering the product to the customer. So this is what the trading business. So here in the manufacturing and trading, the basic difference is here production will get involved. Here there is no production, just we are taking the product and we are selling to the customer who are the original manufacturers, from where we are procuring the materials or products, and similarly just we are transferring that to the customer. So there is no manufacturing at all. So these are the basic kind of procurements. So coming to SAP MM business processes, you are going to have these many business processes. So the first one is a direct procurement. Second one is an indirect procurement, and then special procurement, without which there is no MM. So if you are going to attend any interview, so if you are working for any client, so you must and should know the special procurements knowledge, configuration, and real-time exposure. Then only you will get into the SAP. If you want to crack your interview, also you have to focus on this. If you are good at these things, 100% you will get to a job also without knowing any other parameters. If you are good at this special procurement, if you attend 2 to 3 interviews, you will get a job. That is what the most priority will be given to the special procurements, where we have a stock transfers, third parties, contracting, consignment, pipeline, agreements. Again, these agreements are classified contracts, schedule agreements. And in addition to that, we have a blanket purchasing and then import, export procurement. So generally this will not be a mandatory. This is not much important. Okay, so up to 4. So these many are very, very important, out of which third is very, very important. So what do you mean by a direct procurement? So direct procurement is nothing but simply something when you are procuring some material you are procuring. So if it is for a stock purpose, that would be a direct. And that too in the direct procurement, you are going to specify the material, what exactly you are going to procure. So if you go, so let's say this is SAP screen where I'm going to enter ME21N, which is a create purchase order screen. So in this purchase order screen, if you are going to specify the material number, okay, so this is the purchase order screen. You are able to see lot of fields here. So let's see here, just a second. Here I'm going to give one purchase order reference, and you'll get to understand what exactly here happening. Let's see here, and this is the vendor field. Okay, you're able to see vendor field, and you see document date, means current date. Okay, today I am going to create this purchase order. That should be the document date. So just a second, let's see. Yeah, you can see this is the raw material. You can see this is the material 200502040, and the material description is raw material for glass. So whenever we are going to create a purchase order with material, if you are specifying this is the material I need 100 quantity at the cost of 105 rupees for each quantity. Okay, I am procuring raw material for glass. I am going to create for 100 quantity at the rate of 105. So when you are specifying the material in purchase order, that is what called as a direct procurement. When there is no material, if you are not specifying the material, simply if you are not specifying the material, that should be called as a indirect procurement. That is what the basic difference of direct and indirect. This is the basic difference. That is the first difference. Second difference is whenever you are talking about a direct procurement, that should be for the stock purpose. When you are ordering some material you are specifying some raw material or some semi-finished material or some trading goods or some finished material. So that should be for a stock purpose. Whereas indirect procurement, which deals with 100% consumption, there is no material. There is no material will be you are going to specify. Simply see here what I've done. I have deleted the material, and then there is a description fine. So here I am going to mention some other parameter. Then this purchase order will become now as an indirect procurement. Okay, so this is what the indirect procurement. So we are going to call this like whenever you are creating this kind of purchase order without material, so you are going to do this kind of a procurement for consumption purpose, not for stock purpose. Stock purpose means when there is a material, then only you can keep as a stock. There is no material. Okay, it's a sort of a description, so that this will be for a consumption purpose. So whenever you are doing indirect procurement without the material, then you have to specify for which account, for which accounting department is going to bear this payment and all. Let us take a simple organization. We are going to have administration department, and as well as we are going to have some accounting department. Likewise, we do have a reception. Likewise, we do have a different of small departments in a particular organization. Suppose for the accounting department, they need some sort of books, they need some printers, and they need A4 sheet papers and all. So those papers, stationary items, they need it for not for stock purpose, for a daily purpose. They are going to use, and we are going to procure those stationary items for the consumption purpose. At that time, for which we no need to maintain any material master record for A4 size paper. Okay, we no need to maintain any kind of material record. But if you are going to manufacture a battery, we need some raw material. At that time, you have to maintain the material master, and in the purchase order, you have to specify the material. So this is the basic difference between a direct procurement and a indirect procurement. So coming to uh, blanket purchasing. So here the simple thing is we don't receive any goods receipt. We do not have any good receipt. Simply we will create a purchase order, and then we will create the invoice receipt. So there is no good receipt. So that is called as a blanket purchasing. So generally, when you are something you are ordering, you are going to receive. Simply, you have placed an order in a Flipkart. You are receiving your product and you are doing the payment, and they are going to generate the invoice. But in this case, what will happen? There is no goods receipt. You are creating the purchase order, that's it. And finally, you are doing the invoice and doing the payment. There is no good receipt. So why? Because here this blanket purchasing itself, it indicates it's a, like whenever you are going to create order for low cost value items. Simple example for the stationary items. So if that cost is around 800 or 500 rupees, for which they don't enter any good receipt. In terms of the configuration itself, it is a standard configuration. There is no change. If business requested that I wanted to use a blanket purchasing, I want to I need a good receipt for blanket purchasing also. It is not at all possible. It's not at all possible. If you go with the development also, it would not be possible. That is what the standard. So where we cannot update any parameter. There is no possibility for this kind of a procurement. There is not at all a possibility. So for low value cost items, we do use this blanket purchasing where we do not have the goods receipt, purchase order, invoice receipt. That's it. Requisition will be the common. It's not at all a mandatory, but requisition, order, invoice. And coming to special procurements. So here the first one is a stock transfer. Okay, so stock transfer is nothing but the name itself, it indicates we are transferring the stock from one place to other place. That is what the stock transfer. So here that place is nothing but a plant. You are transferring stock from one plant to other plant. So we do have two types of stock transfers. One is intra-company stock transfer order. One is intercompany stock transfer order. Okay, intra-company stock transfer order, intra-company STO is nothing but. So I have a one company, which is a company X, in which I have a two plants, plant A and plant B. If in case, if I am transferring the materials from plant A to plant B, or else plant B to plant A, we are going to call it as a intra-company STO. Means whenever the materials are get transferred from one plant to other plant within the company code, okay, within the company code, then we are going to call it as a intra-company STO. Where the, I mean, suppose if I transferred 100 quantity of a material from plant A to plant B, the plant B will never pay any kind of amount for that 100 materials to the, why? Because he is the supplier now. He will become, this plant A will become the vendor. Plant B will become the customer. So generally, when the customer receives something, some product or some material he received customer, he need to pay. Here in intra-company STO, there is no amount or there is no payment for the materials which really procuring. Why? Because here the entire valuation, entire so here in the company is a simply legal entity where it is going to set up a unique GL accounts, and they are liable for audit purpose when government is going to ask something. What are the transactions? What is your turnover? Likewise, they are the responsible. So these two belongs to single company code. So that is the reason here there is no invoice takes place. That is what intra-company STO. Whereas in intercompany STO, it defines itself intercompany. When the materials are get transferred from one plant to other plant across the company codes. I have a company X under which I have plant A. I have a one more company which is Y. I have a plant B. So here these are the two different plants from different companies. If the stock get transferred from A to B or B to A, that should called as a intercompany STO. Here this plant A belongs to company X. So here it is having own set of GL accounts, its own set of a structure it will have. Whereas company Y also it's having unique set of GL accounts and unique set of architecture or organizational hierarchy. So that is the reason why when the intercompany STO takes place between the company codes or across two different company codes, then invoice takes place. And as well as from customer side, billing will be takes place. So that is what intercompany STO and intra-company STO. So there are a lot of configuration. So whenever you are dealing with STO, stock transfer order, so we have to integrate with the sales and distribution module SD. That is the reason why in interview they will ask, do you have any integration knowledge on SD? If you know where it will be adopted and what kind of a configuration are going to be happen from SD. We will not do any configuration from only as a MM consultant. You will do only MM relevant configuration. That's it. If you are going to configuring this stock transfers also, you are going to do your configuration only. Only 3 to 4 steps are there. But if you look at entire configuration, it will be around 10 steps. So automatically here three different modules are getting involved. But MM consultant will do only MM configuration. SD, so here SD will get involved. That SD configuration will be taken care by SD consultant in real time. But in your practice system, if you want to run the scenario, you have to do your own, that SD enterprise structure and all. So that enterprise structure, that everything I'll give you the integration knowledge. Where what exactly needed, the 100% I'll give you. There is no issue. But in real time, you will never involve into such case. So if in case in the interview they will ask who will do this SD enterprise structure for setting up the STO configuration. If you say I mean I'm a MM consultant, I will do this configuration. If you say no, so you will get rejected immediately. So that is what you have to know. First of all, if you are getting some error, first of all you have to understand whether this issue is relevant to MM or SD or which module. So that is the first parameter we have to do. Then the any issue will get resolved end of the day. But the thing is whether this issue is relevant to you or relevant to which module. In real time, if it is SD issue, now immediately take a screenshot and then immediately you have to escalate. So we are facing this issue while creating the outbound delivery, let us take. So you have to escalate that to SD. Suppose you are creating some purchase order where you are going to get some GL account error. So let us see here. I'll update this one. I'll see you here one error. You see, account does not exist in chart of accounts. When you are when the business user are trying to create a purchase order, if he is getting this error, na, immediately they will take the screenshot and they will create a ticket on ticketing tool so that it will get assigned to the MM consultant. Why? Because the screen itself it indicates it's a purchase order. But when you look at the screen, this account does not exist in chart of account. This is not part of MM consultant. You are the responsible person to look into this purchase order issue, but originally you can say this is relevant to account. So immediately what you need to do, you need to escalate this issue to the concerned team. So that concerned team you have to know. So when you see, you have to understand the exact error, not in terms of getting the resolution, in terms of which relevant module is going to taking care of this issue. So account 890000. So this is the GL account. So GL account in the sense general ledger account. Okay, finally, so GL account. So FI team has to look into this issue. So immediately you have to escalate this ticket. You have to assign it to the FI team directly without contacting them. Why? Because that is a GL account is obviously it's a finance. We are not responsible. So once they map that account or once they create that account now, so then we have to replicate that scenario in a quality system. If it is working as expected, immediately we have to inform the business. Okay, this is what this account was does not exist. So the finance team had fixed the issue. We are good to go with the creation. Likewise, so you have to understand the exact issue. So after that, STOs, we have a third party transfer. So third party transfer itself, it is a trading. Okay, here we are going to have a sales order. That means we do not have any manufacturing. We do not have any kind of a production takes place. Simply sales order, requisition, purchase order, outbound delivery, goods receipt, invoice receipt. Simply, we are. It's a. You can take example as a Flipkart and Amazon. All e-commerce applications you can take as example for third party. Why? Because Flipkart is not manufacturing anything. Nowadays, the Flipkart is doing some sort of their own products, but earlier it's a medium. It's a medium where it is taking the order from the customer and sending it to the seller, and the seller will send his product through Flipkart. Sort of Flipkart is like having some terms and conditions with agreements with some sort of a logistics. So they are going to deliver the product to the customer directly. So here Flipkart is just a medium. Flipkart is not originally manufacturing each and every product. They are the mediums. Likewise, that is what the third party transfer. So and then this is a very important subcontracting. So see here the base simple example I have given. So I want to produce a battery. Okay, I want to produce a battery. So for which I need two materials. A and B materials are needed to produce the battery of C. So C is nothing but battery, I'm going to say. I have the at my plant location, material A is available. Okay. And then material B is not available. A is only available, B is not available. So what we have to do, we have to procure the material B from some external vendor or somewhere else. We have to get it the B. Then only with our machinery, sorry. So A is only available at our plant location, B is not available. So we have to procure the material B and then only we can produce the battery. So now to produce the material B, we require raw materials of X comma Y. Okay. At our plant location, X comma Y raw materials are available to produce Yeah, sorry, it was disconnected. No issues. So A is available, B is not available. To produce a B, we required raw materials or input materials of X and Y, which are available at our location. But we do not have the sufficient machinery or sufficient men, or we do not have the resources to produce a material B. And what we are doing, we are providing the raw materials of X and Y to some subcontractor, so that he is going to